There's a moment in this process where things finally start slowing down. And instead of relief, you feel something else. You start wondering, did I forget something? Hi, this is Paige, and welcome back to Living with What Remains. This week we're talking about holding the line as an executor. This was my first weekend where I wasn't rushing back to my father's house. The house had been cleared out, it was sold, and the funds were in the trust account. And for the first time, there was a pause. But even in that pause, I kept going back and forth between checking myself and telling myself to just sit for a moment, because you don't really turn this role off. And this is where something changes. Externally, things may look like they're moving along just fine. But internally, the weight of responsibility starts to feel different, more defined, more visible. By this point, I had handled what I could control. But there were still things that hadn't resolved, like the life insurance. And I had reached a point where I didn't feel comfortable waiting anymore. I had to step in, follow up, and keep things moving. That becomes part of the role too, not just managing tasks, but noticing what isn't moving and stepping in when needed. Around that same time, I made another decision. After earlier clerical errors and complications, I moved the trust funds to a different bank. It wasn't due to urgency, but out of responsibility. Because when you're in this role, you start thinking differently. You start thinking about stability, protection, long-term impact. And a lot of those decisions, no one else sees them, but they matter. And then something else started to surface. Expectations. A sense from others that things should be moving faster. Things should be resolved sooner. And that creates a tension. Because on one hand, you understand that desire. On the other, you're holding the responsibility to make sure everything is done correctly. Nothing to rush. Nothing is missed. And this is where holding the line becomes real. The quiet decisions of choosing timing over pressure and responsibility over urgency. In doing things right, even when it would be easier to move faster. Because at the end of all of this, you're not just managing tasks. You're carrying responsibility for others and for the trust itself. And that requires steadiness.